All right, LA Kendrick back with another tale from Would You Dare. Today we're going to cover a story that I dug up. It's called The Hopkinsville Goblin, and it's also been called The Little Green Men of Kelly. I'll be telling you these stories from time to time to try and give back to the fans and just basically making sure that in the process of me getting work out and getting books published, that I'm doing a little something extra to show you guys my appreciation. These are just stories that you can listen to from time to time and have a good time with and sort of pick my brain. Now, I did this story when I was in high school. I'm not even sure if I shared this story with you guys before, but this is an article that I came across. And it started on the night of August 21st when a large extended family called the Suttons arrived breathlessly at the Hopkinsville police station in southwestern Kentucky. The story of a terrifying siege by otherworldly beings will become one of the most detailed and baffling accounts of an alien close encounter on record. Notable for the large number of witnesses, nearly a dozen, the duration of the encounter, several hours, and then the close proximity between the witness and creatures, sometimes just a few feet away. This incident quickly became a regional and even national news event. So let's get started. The encounter occurred on the Suttons family in the tiny rural hamlet of Kelly, Kentucky, where the family lived in an unpainted 3-room house without running water, telephone, radio, TV, or books. All of the details of the story, the UFO landing and the appearance of the small alien creatures, one fact is indisputable. When they all arrived with the 8 adults, the three children, and the nearby Hopkinsville police station at about 11 p.m., they were genuinely terror-struck. All right. Some of them even had a blood pressure count when they got there of 140 beats per minute. And this was measured by an investigator. According to the accounts given to the police at about 7 p.m. on the hot Sunday evening, the Sutton family friend Billy Ray Taylor was fetching water from the backyard well when he saw a silvery object, real bright with an exhaust with all the colors of the rainbow. As he later recounted, it came silently towards the house, passed over it, stopped in the air, and then dropped straight to the ground. Taylor, 21, and his 18-year-old wife had come from Pennsylvania to visit Lucky Sutton, with whom he had worked with on a traveling carnival. The Sutton's 50-year-old widow matriarch, Gleneen Langford, and her 2 older sons and their wives, a brother-in-law, and the widow's 3 younger children, 12, 10, and 7, didn't take Billy Ray seriously. They were laughing off his UFO account. About an hour later, alerted by the dog's incessant barking, Lucky and Billy Ray went to the back door and made out a strange glow, in the midst of which they spied a small humanoid creature, about 3.5 feet tall. It had an oversized head, almost perfectly round, its arms extended almost to the ground. Hands had talons. Its oversized eyes glowed with a yellowish light. The body gave off an eerie shimmer in the light of the night's new moon. They said as if it was made of silver metal. So terrified, the 2 men grabbed a 20-gauge shotgun and a .22 rifle and fired at the little man. Its hands now raised as if held up at gunpoint as it came towards the back door. They reported that it did a backflip, scrambled upright, and fled into the darkness. Shortly after, the men saw a similar creature appear in the side window and fired through the window screen. Still impervious to the bullets, the little man again flipped, then disappeared. I went out to the hallway and crouched down next to Billy when I saw one approach the door. Mrs. Langford told Isabel Davis, author of the extensive report called Close Encounter at Kelly and Others of 1955. It looked like a 5-gallon gasoline can with a head on top and small legs. It was shimmering bright metal like on my refrigerator. The story continues. The drama escalated when Taylor stepped outside under the small overhanging roof, and those behind him saw a claw-like hand reach down and touch his hair. The group screamed and pulled Taylor back while Lucky shot above the overhang and then at another similar creature in a nearby tree. It floated to the ground and then scurried off into the woods. The Suttons moved inside and spent several hours listening for movements, hearing mostly occasional scratches on the roof. At 11 p.m., the whole group ran for the cars and hightailed it to the Hopkinsville police station at top speed. After the local police chief called for backup, his team was joined at the Sutton farm by state police, military police from Fort Campbell nearby, and a photographer from the Kentucky New Era. Their investigators found shell casings and the gunshots, but no evidence. Neither could they find proof of heavy drinking, according to the Sutton matriarch. Liquor was not allowed in the farmhouse. Once the police and others left, though, the creatures returned between 2 a.m. and daybreak. Mrs. Langford says she saw one glowing repeatedly by her bedside window, its claw-like hand on the screen. In the following days after the radio stations and newspapers, including the New York Times, reported the incident, hundreds of curiosity seekers descended on the farm, often ridiculing the Suttons as ignorant or fraudulent. When no trespassing signs proved useless at discouraging them, the family tried to charge admission, 50 cents for entering the grounds, $1 for information, and $10 for taking pictures. After that, skeptics blasted them as fortune-seeking fabulous. As the Kelly story spread into the world, it took on a life of its own. The number of little men grew to a dozen or more. A few years later, the metallic men were conflated with an Eastern Kentucky's woman report of a flying saucer and a 6-foot-tall man in green, helping launch the myth of the Little Green Men. The day after the incident, police investigators returned to the farmhouse, searching for evidence of a saucer landing, footprints or blood trails or scratch marks on the roof. They found nothing. Blood Ledwith, a local radio station employee, interviewed the adult eyewitnesses and made drawings based on their accounts. According to Davis, he was impressed by their remarkable specificity and consistency. Even though the men were away from the farmhouse all day, unable to coordinate with the others. While the incident eventually attracted the attention of the Air Force UFO investigative program, Project Blue Book, documents suggest that its team never officially pursued the matter, beyond checking with their Fort Campbell counterparts who had been briefly at the scene on the first night. The reason that I'm having a hard time with this because when I did my report, I don't remember them saying anything about Project Blue Book, and I got my book from the public library at the time. So that's why I was struggling with that, because I was trying to read it and make some sense out of it. It's just really kind of fascinating how much more information has popped up out of this thing. One of the most thorough investigations of the Kelly incident was undertaken in 1956 by ufologist Isabel Davis and published several decades later by the Center for UFO Studies, a group founded by astronomer Dr. J. Allen Hynek, Project Blue Book civilian investigator. Her nearly 200-page report, co-written with Ted Bolcher, includes detailed maps, drawings, documentary records, summaries of similar accounts around the world, and interviews with several Sutton family members and police investigators. Davis summarized the latter's concern about the lack of physical evidence, but to her reckoning, none of those explanations show a deliberate hoax or a publicity play or group hallucinations made sense. None of that made any sense, so she kind of dismissed that. Mrs. Langford She was one of somber, no-nonsense matriarch. That's the mother. That's the widow who abhorred the limelight, and had no reason to lie. None of the witnesses Davis noted had any history of making preposterous allegations. And in 2006, Joel Nickel, senior researcher for the fellow of the International Committee for Skeptical Inquiry and self-styled paranormal investigator, reviewed the accumulated evidence in an article entitled "Siege of the Little Green Men: The 1955 Kelly, Kentucky Incident." In it, he raised suspicion about what he called Billy Taylor's embroidered testimony. He matched Taylor's UFO sighting with similar reports from that day, which suggest a small meteor in the vicinity. As for the Little Green Men, Nickel floated an explanation for other alien encounter stories such as owls, in particular the great horned owl, aka the hoot owl, has long wings that could be mistaken for arms, along with talons, yellow eyes, long ears, and a round head that might also match the little man's description. As for the metallic shine, Nichols suggests they could have been easily reflecting moonlight. But while hoot owls are known to be active at dusk and extremely aggressive when defending their nest, some investigators characterizations of the creatures as hostile. To some, their behavior that night was simply to be thought to be curious. And I believe that's the end of that story, okay, from the article. And again, I was struggling a little bit or pausing a little bit because I was trying to take it all in. Again, when I did my study and when I did my report paper when I was in high school, I didn't see any of this information. Like, there's so much of that left out, like the fact that Kentucky actually had the Fort Campbell military base soldiers come in and help them with the investigation. What's the other thing? That Heinrich from Project Blue Book, he was involved. I didn't see that either. I didn't see any of that information when I did my study on it back in the day. And again, that's kind of some of this information is new to me, just like it's new to you guys. And it's very, very I guess the word I'm looking for, I guess it's kind of strange. And as you can see, information always gets bigger and it gets better. And so that for me is why I took the response that I took. That's why I was slowing down with my grammar. And apparently we've exhausted the early morning darkness. Let me get back home and continue with my fitness regimen. So you guys tell me what you think. Like, share, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel. And again, this is for the fans, and I'm just actually, like I say, just trying to read stuff and let you guys know about stories that you might not have heard about before. And truth of the matter, truth be told, I have actually gone to Kelly, and I tell you what, I've been in that area. It's like if you blink, you miss it. Like the farmhouse is no longer there. I know that much. It's no longer there. But you can find additional information at the Hopkinsville Museum. But I can assure you that it is a very, very strange and more informative piece of information than I remember. There's stuff that I didn't see before, and now I'm seeing it. Now I saw it in today's article, and again, I was reading it for the first time with you guys. So that's again why it took me a little bit to get some of the stuff out. Again, fascinating. I have been there. The farmhouse is no longer there. Been a very long time, and they've done several stories. I think they even did a movie on it. And if you Google it, you'll be able to see how things additionally went down and some of the festivities that they've had in honor of that incident. Again, you blink, you go through Kelly, you blink and you'll miss it. I mean, it's literally like, it's small. So again, make sure you guys check your closets. Check under your beds. Check under your cars if you work late at night, because you never know what's lurking in the dark, waiting to make you a story. And this has been L.A. Kendrick. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and the article. And I'm asking you a question now. If these things came to you, your house, your home, whatever, would you dare? Fill in the rest.